Batman and the Outsiders, issue 12, Brian Hill writing with Dexter Soy on the art, and oh boy, Dexter Soy's art was a sight for sore eyes after a month or so without comics. So good.
That said, as we just discussed with Hawkman, that was a nice time to come into this book because there's been a delay.
Mm-hmm.
This one I had to rejog my memory of stuff that had gone on. And it was kind of an uneven read, but I don't blame the creative team. This was just the next issue that was supposed to come out. If it was coming out monthly, I don't think it would have been a problem.
Sure.
But,
yeah. I feel like I didn't have too many problems with the story and sort of keeping up with where it was, but so basically, so Ra's al Ghul has his Technodrome, and this is Batman gearing up the troops to go and deal with this. And he introduces Sophia in her outfit. She's not got a proper name yet for doing superhero work, but she's taking ideas, as she puts it. But we have them all. We have a bunch of pairs of characters having kind of like heart-to-hearts, essentially, before they go on this trip to try and take on Raz. With the odd pep talk from Batman thrown in. Batman and Jefferson have a talk outside by his parents' gravestones. And Jefferson is basically saying, hey, after this, like, you have to let the kids go their own way. They can't just be a part of this. And Batman says, yeah, you're right, they should have their own path. You can teach them that. You're a teacher. So it really does feel like it's setting up the idea that Batman's going to step away a little bit and let Jefferson run the team. So that's cool. It makes sense. It's really good. You got Shiva and Cassandra having a kind of sparring session, and Shiva trying to convince Cass to come with her, that Batman will never let her be, her full potential. She'll never be Batgirl. That stung. Thanks for that.
I immediately thought of you.
Yeah.
Pete's gonna take that one personally.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I like that, and I like how she says you're not an orphan.
Yep.
But I still like that. I still like that's her identity, because she doesn't want to be like her parents, right? And despite her parents being there, she's so disconnected from them. That's why she relates to Bruce so much, right? So I like that, but I like that Shiva fights against that. Like, she's taking that as a slight now. Like, no, I'm right here. I'm not dead. Like, you're calling yourself orphan is upsetting to me. But Cass doesn't care. But I thought that was a real nice section. I like Shiva. I think she's a nice. I don't want to say she's not an anti-hero. What's the villain version of an anti-hero? Where they're a villain that does good things sometimes?
Anti-villain?
Right? Yeah.
Anti-hero is what I've heard used.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I wouldn't put her at that, because to me an anti-hero is like a good guy that does bad things. Like Punisher is an anti-hero, right? Like, but
I guess.
I don't know. But I would put Steve on that.
It's kind of like something like bi-monthly, Matt, which can mean twice a month or every other month.
Mm-hmm.
I think anti-hero can be a character like Punisher or a character like Shiva.
Right.
I mean both.
But I like her in that little groove where she's not always a bad guy. Like, I like when Shiva shows up, I can not know what her motivations are until later, But here I think Hill's using her very well. Like, for whatever reason, if she were to join the Outsiders, I would accept it.
Sure.
At this point, as almost, trying to get revenge on Ross for what he's done with her. So
yeah, and I really like the scene after that with Jefferson again, but this time with Katana. And Katana's kind of calling him out that, hey, you've got feelings for me. I see the way you look at me. And Jefferson, plays kind of the mature card and says, I don't really want to talk about this, and I don't want to pursue it. Like, just leave this be. And she's like, I know I carry my dead husband around with me on a sword, but he is dead, and like I might be open to this idea. And she calls him, be brave, have courage to actually talk to me about this. And he says, no, I am not a coward, and that's, I'm proving that by walking away. So I think it's a really interesting dynamic in like how Jefferson, like, whether or not he reviews any potential relationships like this, or if it's just like it definitely feels different to me than like when a lot of the younger characters sort of have feelings for each other and they do the romance stuff. This feels kind of different to me because this is like, a 40-something-year-old dude and a woman who's, maybe not quite as old as that, but closer to that than the kids.
No, but there is trauma there at him too right now. Like, one of his close friends died because of him and whatnot. So it isn't the time to talk about it, despite
I guess
Katana wanting to.
I guess what I'm saying is that I like how it feels like it is of a different caliber of characters talking about a relationship versus people falling for each other and suddenly being swept away by it.
Right, there's subtlety here with their relationship, like, so And then I like that because there was that issue back in November. I think was it the annual of those two going off on an adventure together.
Yeah, it may have been Daniel. Yeah, that sounds right.
And I like that a lot. I like the pairing of Black Lightning and Katana. So if he's going to continue to play with that, and it's not even a will they, won't they, but like they have this dynamic, I'm here for it.
Yeah. So that kind of sets up. So they go to the desert. They're on pursuit. The whole team's together. They're going to this I'll call it the Technodrome. I love this little interaction with Duke and Cass as they're going into the ship, where they're basically saying they're going to support each other. Like, she's going to help him like sort of hone his powers. He's going to help her with Shiva, and Cass just kind of makes one of those observations. Because sometimes Cass will just say things because she doesn't have the same inhibitors that other people do. She says, "You think my mother is hot." And Duke says, "Everyone thinks your mother is hot." So just, and Shiva with a smirk on her face overhearing this is kind of amusing.
Yeah,
but they go in and we find out they find the other allies of Raz. So they find Caliber and Ishmael either dead or close to death. And he's left a hologram message, your help me Obi-Wan style of thing. Yes, I mean a Star Wars reference, don't lose your shit. So Raz says this is an ancient alien ship. This is something that was found. This race came to dominate Earth, but they crashed and died. So he's going to use their tech to destroy stuff. And it's funny that I made a Star Wars reference actually, because this next part is actually a little Star Warsy in that Raz kills a village that is close to Shiva, where Shiva grew up. And just annihilates it with his little orb that he's got in his hand. It's this tech that just lets him... It's like a doomsday device, essentially. He can just attack the entire towns, cities, villages, whatever. And we see Shiva shed a tear, and it's like, okay, this is the tech that he has now. This is how dangerous he is now. And Jefferson's the one... Batman gets angry and punches the wall, and Jefferson's the one who says, no, we have to accept this defeat and come back to win next time. So we see Shiva get emotional. We see Jefferson play the teacher, be the mature one. I really like that. And the last page is just Raz laughing maniacally because he's winning. He's all powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing that made me think too is if you know The Outsiders, Geoforce is usually Brian of Markovia is a big member usually, and the tech that Raz uses to destroy that village seems very Geoforcey. So I'm wondering if this is going to lead to that species that came, or that race that came on that ship, if they didn't wind up somewhere else, and that's how they're going to introduce Brian and even Terra, because I don't remember if Terra's still continuity when it comes to the early Teen Titans.
Oh god, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I feel like they've referenced the Judas contract, but I mean, maybe Terra's just not related to Markovia anymore.
I wonder if we'll get a reveal where Raz has got Geoforce in a lab somewhere hooked up, and he's taking his DNA and manipulating it to create his tech or something. I don't know.
Well, and I know Bendis is using Markovia for Checkmate. Yeah. Right, because they became a sovereign nation, so through Markovia. So. Yeah, I don't know, but it seemed very Geoforcey and Terra the way that this village got taken out. So that was worth noting. Yeah,
obviously the book looks great. Size, everything, all the characters look fantastic. Every page was a joy to look at. Deep blacks, good colors as well. No, excellent stuff. What do you give it, Matt?
I'm going to give this one a 7.5, and that's mainly for me just getting lost in the story a little bit just because it had been so long. And it took me a minute to read just because I was trying to remember what had happened before, but it's still a pretty solid issue.
Yeah, okay. I will give it... Yeah, I'll give it the 8. I think I really like all the character beats. I mean, the ending's cool, and all the stuff in the ship with them sort of get in there that's kind of tense. So that stuff's good, but I think I love all of the one-on-ones beforehand, kind of building them, psyching themselves all up, because that's the real team building stuff. That's the stuff that's going to really linger as we have the team kind of form going forward and they feel like a unit. So I'm into that. So 8 out of 10 for me.